Hi beautiful star beings of light, it's Tiffany here. Welcome to today's teaching video. In today's video, let's talk more about dragons. In one of my previous videos, I have talked briefly about dragons and how we can have dragons as spirit guides or as our multidimensional self. In fact, a lot of old souls that I have worked with have incarnations as a dragon in another realm. And thus, we feel called to work with these dragons. And we understand that dragons are not how the media portrays them. Dragons themselves are very magnificent, magical, and powerful creatures, beings that were created by Source, most connected to the elemental realm. My soul was created in the elemental realm. And so some of you are created in the angelic realm, and we are souls that have traversed into different multiverse, and we are in this multiverse now together in this physical form. But we have journeyed into other realms. And so that's why ever since I was a little girl, I have been always so connected to fairies and also to dragons. And my Chinese zodiac is dragon. And I knew that my soul picked it for a reason. And there's been a lot of questions about dragons and people want to learn more. So here I am, just sharing from my humble experience and what I feel is my truth. You can take what resonates with you or inspire you to go channel and to find out your own truth. Because we are all perspectives of Source, so we all have our own truths. So let's learn more about these legendary dragons, the good dragons. The first thing we need to distinguish is that some people confuse dragons as Dracos or reptilians, and they are totally different. The royal cast of draconians or Dracos does have characteristics that resemble a dragon, but they are not the legendary and elder dragons that I'm talking about. So it's important for us to separate that as different, right? Just because we see them with similar characteristics, it doesn't mean that they are this. It's very much like in other videos I've talked about, just because if you see a being that looks like a Pleiadian doesn't mean that they're always good. There's different factions, right? Even in humans, when we see, in our realm, there's such a diversity. So I feel that it's never a good idea to lump sum and to just feel, oh, this is the absolute truth when it comes to interacting with other beings. The second point is I find that dragons nowadays work with people that have very pure heart. Dragons, when you work with them through the initiation, will test you of your purity. They only allow the most pure souls to come through and learn with their teachings. And I believe that this is because back in the day, the guidelines were more loose and they were so loving. They were sharing the wisdom to any humans that are wanting to learn. But some humans, right, have service to self-intention and have twisted some of these dragons' teachings. And dragons are very, in a way that's proud. They don't want their teachings to be tainted. They're very integral. When you think about dragons, there's honor. And so they don't really mess around is what I'm trying to say. So when you work with dragons, you have to be ready. You have to have a pure heart. That means you have done a lot of inner work to purify your heart, purify your consciousness, and you have to show them that you're dedicated. You have to jump through all the tests and all the initiation. If you're someone that's kind of like, this is just a play for me, I'm just going to half-ass it, it's not going to work with the dragons. They're very focused. The other thing that I believe have happened with the legendary dragons is they left our realm when the old timeline threatened their safety and their offspring. What I have channeled so far is this universe was supposed to be very pure and light, but there was a rupture in time-space reality, and darkness from another multiverse started to seep into our universe. And so that's when all the timelines started to shift. That's why you get like two Egypts. Why is one Egypt sounds like so dark and one Egypt sound like so light? Because there was a fluctuation in timeline. And so when this fluctuating of timeline happened, it was not safe for the legendary dragons to be here anymore. Some of the beings started to hunt dragons for their babies, for their eggs, for their scales, for magical properties. And just sharing from my past life Akashic remembrance, I remember being a dragon in one lifetime. I don't really know where, but I was so angry at people. And that's through doing my own shadow work. I'm like, why am I so angry? I'm angry because something is taking pieces of my body away. And then I started to remember, there was a lifetime where I was this like red dragon, and they wanted to take my scale. They wanted to take my offspring for their own magical use. This must be somewhere in Avalon or maybe another timeline, but I remember that. And I had to heal that. So I think some of you out there that have connection to dragon, you most likely have a multidimensional self and higher self, right? You can have more than one lifetime as a dragon with some of these remembrance. So I think it's good to know about this so that we can heal it. We can forgive ourselves and forgive those that have hurt us. And then to bring more light into our consciousness, really let go of these old, darker energy and old timelines. The other thing I want to share about dragons is that they have an ancient language that can only be heard with a pure heart. And they call it the crystalline heart. So when your heart is very pure, you can hear the ancient language. And I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce some of these words that the dragon language use. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how to pronounce it. I can hear it, but it's really hard to pronounce. Even with my dragon guide that I have shared with you guys, like his full name, there's no way I can pronounce it. I just kind of know it, but I call him with a short form, an easier name that I can pronounce. And so that's just some things I want to bring up for dragons. Again, there's so much I want to share, and I like to keep my videos short, so I'm not going to go in too much in details. I'll kind of talk about them here and there. But here I also want to talk about some important groups of dragons that are important to note. So the first group are the timekeepers. The timekeeper dragons, they oversee timeline. They work in the higher realm to oversee the multiverse. And they can see into the different timelines. And timelines are like fabric of space and time. They're malleable. They have points where they overlap. They have times where they converge and diverge. To understand timelines simply is to look at Earth. It's like Earth herself is going through a few timelines right now. At least 3. And within these 3 timelines, each of us have our own timelines that we can align to. It's almost like this wave of energy that you can connect to. And so these dragons oversees the timeline. They monitors temporal time-space interferences. So when there's ruptures, like I mentioned in the video, they can see that. And they can see, here's a rupture. They work with the prime creator. And they oversees these interferences and try to balance out the homeostasis of timeline. It's kind of hard to fully understand with the human mind. They also aid light beings in mending timelines. So, when the fabric of time happened, it diverged Egypt into 2 Egyptian timelines. And that's where the dragons are also helping light workers such as yourself heal some of these past life. A lot of the inner earth beings that I work with, they are also here to mend the timelines so that they can continue to exist in the future. And so, this is like so interesting, right? I find that the timekeeper dragons, the one that I see anyway, have very beautiful eyes, just like an opal or their eyes are like moonstone. It's white with like sheens of light. It's very beautiful. These timekeeper dragons can also phase interdimensionally with speed. So it's almost like us, right? We're going through in this dimension timeline here and there, and like this wave. These timekeeper dragons can phase in and out of multiple timelines at one time to oversee the timelines. So I think they're very, very interesting. That's why I want to talk about them. And the other group that is worthy to mention, or that I have seen and worked with, is the warrior heart dragons. And these dragons are like the warriors of dragons. There's many divisions, and they usually have a leader for each division. They guard the gates to different realms. So to the higher realm, to the elemental, the Fey realm, to the different portals to other dimensions, to the underworld, to the astral world. So they also guide portals and stargates as well. They protect the angels. They also help with entity removals. So sometimes, when I'm battling in sessions with like an entity and they don't want to transform, they don't need help, they're just here to cause havoc, that's when I would invoke the warrior dragons. I'm going to tell them, okay, I found this little one that have come through a portal and we need to bring it back to where it belongs. And these portals a lot of times are created by the dark beings. They create these dark magic rituals or blood magic rituals to rip open these time-space reality, create a portal and summon these dark entities. And so Lightworkers, us here, we are trying to mend the grid. We're trying to close off this portal, clear out these entities, and to, bring them back into the lower realm or at the underworld. So if you're dealing with entities and you're really wanting to release them, working with the warrior heart dragons can really help you. Now, the warrior heart dragons are not going to be like as soft and nice as your dragon guide. They're definitely more like savage-hearted, they're like So don't take offense if they are a bit more cold or they're more to the point. Sometimes they might just come and not even talk to you, just take the entity and go. And so you gotta think, right? They are such ancient beings. They don't really see things in the same perspective as us human consciousness do. So it's important for us not project our values onto these dragon beings because they see the universe in a very different way. Then the next group of dragons is the mother of dragons. And the mother of dragons, they are very large. They oversee dragon babies. They take care of the dragon eggs. They rescue dragon babies. They give guidance to other dragons when needed. I also have seen dragons going to mothers of dragons to consult them. Like, where should I go next? Or which realm should I visit next? She also helps guides the younger generation of dragons as well. So it's this group of mother dragons that helps the newer generation of dragons. So they're very beautiful, lots of mother energy. And the next group of dragons are the oracles. They foresee the future, and they have this exceptional connection to the quantum field and the multiverse. They work with the elders of other kinds. So if you want to think about the oracles, they are like, the best way to describe the energy is as though they are in the ocean and they can feel the waves of the ocean, and the ocean being the universe, being the multiverse. And through these waves of the oceans, they can connect to other elders of the other realm, such as the archangels, such as the elders on the Pleiades, or the elders on Arcturus. And so they work with them through the quantum field. The next group are the elders. I find that the elders most of the time works closely with the ancient ones for guidance. So if the oracles that kind of work with the multiverse and the elders works more directly with the elemental realm, then that's not to say that they don't work with the angels, right, or other beings, but they tend to work closely in a council with the ancient ones. So what are the ancient ones? The ancient ones are the historians. The ancient ones are so old that they know so much about the multiverse. I would say they are so close to source, kind of like the archangels. They know the history of the multiverse. The ancient ones are so large. When I astral travel and want to see the ancient ones, like I can't even see the entirety of their being because they were so large. Then you have the legendaries. The legendaries are embodiment of dragon codes. They are sacred key keepers. So the legendaries, when I connect with them, they basically these avatars that hold energies for the dragons. They are code keepers, right? If you really want to think about it like dragon DNA, key keepers. So keys are needed, right? Source codes are needed to activate perhaps portals, activate certain parts of the universe. So the legendaries, they kind of just reminds me of the word just being. They're holding this vibration, holding these codes. And finally, the last group of today is the keepers of knowledge. And these keepers are like teachers, they are travelers. They do travel to other realms and they can stay there for a while to teach. They have a higher council. So when a being or soul wants to connect with a dragon, the council, right, will oversee the soul and they can see into your soul's journey. They can see into the purity of your soul to see if you're ready for their teachings. They also help assign teachers to a student. Now this work between dragons to dragons and, for example, dragons to humans. And so these are keepers of knowledge. Most of the time they are, like I mentioned in the other video, you're great teachers. So you will have a mentor that work with you, but your mentor also have their own teacher. So those are like the keepers of knowledge. And that's all I want to share today. Isn't it interesting and fascinating when you learn more about the dragons? It's so cool that they have their paradigm, just like the archangels as well. And once you know more about them, it really helps you remember your connection to the elemental realm. They're such beautiful beings, and even within their social structure, there are dark ones, right? That they have to work to fight or manage. And I hope that this video helped you, inspired you to connect with the dragons again. Once again, just remember, dragons don't fool around. So they are really kind of serious. So if you, let's say, want to learn how to do energy healing, they're happy to help you with that. If you want to learn how to do spiritual protection, they're happy to help you with that. But if you come from the space of like, when am I going to win the lottery? Or, can you like help me activate this so I can do this? And if what your action is towards service to others, they will disengage, right? So you kind of have to be, it's like a martial arts dojo. You have to be like committed. You have to be serious when you work with the dragons. Not to say that they're not funny. Sometimes they're really hilarious because they have this ancient wisdom. But just come from that space of integrity when you work with dragons. And they're very forgiving. So, we're all learning. If you make a mistake, you can just ask for forgiveness, ask them to kind of help you awaken your consciousness more, work on your ego more, alchemize the shadows. The dragons are wonderful teachers and guides. Now go out there, work your magic, and I'll see you guys in the next video. If you guys need more guidance, or if you feel like you need someone to help you channel a bit more, to help you awaken your inner channeler within, I do offer private sessions where I do readings and healings. I have a self-study course called Channeling Divine Messages with Spirit Guides, and I also have a school where I train healers as well. Until then, be a beacon of light. Have a blessed day. Bye.